Peace, rise and shine one time for the one time. Quick class with the Grandmaster teacher, BobbyHemitt. Talking about melanin.
Melanin in the central nervous system. Melanin in the central nervous system. So you have the basic melanocytes where you in your pigmentation based on the more you have, the more darker you are, the more you have more melanocytes and more melanin in the surface skin, and that probably has a lot. That has a lot to do with anti-aging and different things like that. But as a race of people, and as people that's left on the planet that's not hybrid, which is artificial. The melanin research that they're talking about is in the central nervous system.
Wait, AIDS can't live.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is also too. In this, but what I'm still trying to clear, just to say this particular part here too, I'm answering to your question is the melanin in the central nervous system is the key aspect, and that can be on that has to be on the same degree production as. Although the melanocytes doesn't have it, it doesn't have it. The melanin in the central nervous system, whether you black, is the same degree production in the aspect of it comes from the metaphysical aspect of the soul produces this melanin. The carbon is produced from a particle of light that's inside of the body. This is metaphysical aspect that most of the unfortunately when you're dealing with medical and chemical aspect, those are byproducts of greater mysteries into this particular thing here. Because melanin is what is called an occult science, and occult means hidden science, and it's dealing with the metaphysical aspect. And in that particular case, the melanin that we talk about as far as black people is in the central nervous system, and it has nothing to do with the different hues of skin. It's with the different hues of skin, and that's the difference. And that's the difference. Now, when we talk about the central nervous system, we talking about this is one of the keys because most of you researchers, because we talk about the production of the pineal gland. Also, it's not only is it in the central nervous system, it's also in the gastrointestinal tract. The gastrointestinal tract and all, as well as dark eyes and brown hair, because you got a lot of light-skinned people with dark eyes and brown and dark brown hair also too, which we talk about an inner aspect. I'll give you an example. We talk about the inner ear nucleus, which is inside of where the pineal gland is, what actually gives you the sight. So sight comes from hearing. So the inner nucleus not only gives you hearing, but they said it gives you sight. That's in Richard King's book, African Origins of Biological Psychiatry. In his book on page 30-something is in there about the inner ear nucleus. So we're talking about an inner melanin that we're talking about here. Inner melanin that we're talking about here. What's that?
Apropos to that, I don't know if she's familiar with Carol Barnes' book, Melanin, The Key to Black Greatness. That's a good resource to. It's exactly what he's breaking down. It's a good resource to check out. Melanin, The Key to Black Greatness.
Melanin within.
Yeah.
Excuse
me. By Carol Barnes. Yes.
Yeah. You see, the inner melanin. That's the one that they talk about. The other one is called UV melanin. I don't know. Well, there's Carol Barnes talking about UV melanin, whatever. But I know that melanocytes. That's the whole thing based on the pigmentation. Based on the pigmentation. Which also when we get information, see, there's several ways to get information. One way to get information is based on what is left behind anthropologically and basically text. But then again, there's another information, and that's also from you can clear up information from the psychic realms, from the actual psychic realm. So there's several ways to get it.
See the psychic realm?
Because how did the original information get down here? Got down here based on someone channeling it from a higher source of energy, or a higher source of knowledge, or a higher entity form. So I asked this particular question because what I do, what my thing is in the occult realm and in the spirit realm is I'm always trying to revise history in the particular aspect not revise history, but
I
trying
do
to
know where it comes
always clear up certain aspects of history that we don't have certain answers to. Now, I gotta take the immigrant humans and the human artificials. I did one in '93, and I did the other one in 2001, which is a follow-up, which I about the white man being created based on laboratory thing, and the white man being created. And I had so much information from the '93 one. After the '93 one, I had a great deal of information. After the '93 one, I had so much I had to do a second tape. So that's been, and literally like the Egyptians' own mouth, I found a text in '98 said that our biggest problem is we learned how to create another race of people. So, given that, there was still this thing that even in Richard King's book, African Origins of Biological Psychiatry, which is the prototype of the Melanin book, where he talk about there's still, what, 4% white people who have melanin. So, we asked that question, well, is that based on race mixing through the bloodlines, or is that based on a blend of through the bloodlines, or some other type of aspect? Well, we had two theories that was going on in the Afrocentric world and the conscious world. We had the original one where we contemplated that, which actually came from Elijah Muhammad and the whole Yaqub story.
Okay, there we go.
Type thing. Then you had the Diop and you had the scholars talk about climate adaptability and how the migration and climate adaptability. But yet, when I was able to find a whole lot of the text, a lot of the texts I found are the same books that some of these people had was talking about some gene splicing. Well, hell, they clone in now. And they are not the master knowers. We were. So if they're doing the gene splicing now, what the hell you think we were doing damn 2,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago? And we were the masters.
Hell yeah.
So I found all this particular information.
Nothing new under the
But the question here is, when I went to clear up a couple of things recently, right before Christmas in the spirit realm, I asked the question. So I said, there's no doubt I found this information that said there's the genetic engineering and this thing. You don't have to take the Yaqub story as literal. That's a mythological tale that just gives you some picture on something that went on as far as some experiments. So I also asked the question, well, in that case, what about this particular aspect of climate adaptability? And the spirit realm said both happen. It said